Hi folks, so last week I posted a video and a bunch of photos about our not so good experience about Arnold's contracting and what they did to our bedrooms, and apparently we received a lot of attention for our posts. If you haven't seen the video, well, you can scroll down the Facebook page a little and you will see what Arnold's contracting did to our bedrooms. You can also read how his workers try to blackmail our business page, and even how he and his wife threaten us for sharing our experience with the community. So, while I was receiving a lot of support from friends and Facebook community and neighbors and just even random people, I also received a bunch of offers from other construction companies to come over and kind of evaluate the renovation project from, so to speak, professional point of view. And a few days ago we invited one of those professionals. For the record, I never met that person before. I never paid him for any services. I believe their company is in business since 2011 and mostly they do commercial buildings. So get some popcorn, get comfy, and take a look what this guy thinks about Arnold's upgrades.
Okay, so these stair treads all should be painted. None of it's caulked is in the corners or across the treads, across the backs, or up the sides. All the treads had to be glued down because they weren't installed properly. On these sides, everything's pretty rough because nothing was caulked. All this paint is all bubbled. It wasn't prepared correctly. All this caulk painting hinges is also a negative and shouldn't be done. All the nail holes weren't professionally or properly filled. This should all have been floated, which wasn't done. You got drips everywhere on the door. Come down on the baseboard on new drywall. It should be caulked in an even line. This goes from pretty thick to pretty thin all over the place. There shouldn't be any silicone on an interior anyway. It should be a latex caulk, and they probably use silicone in regards to because they knew it was wrong and it would crack if it was regular caulk. Drywall, this corner is out of level from top to bottom. You can still see the bead sitting in there because it wasn't correctly done. This wall in the upper, all the paint's horrendous at this point. This whole corner never got cut in, that never got sanded. All the trim coming up against the rafters never got caulked. Half of it's not painted. This window that bows out, because there's nothing supporting it, because you should be able to put pressure on a window and it should not flex like that. It's because it was installed improperly.
Okay. While we were out of this room for a few days, this crack pretty much developed on its own.
That's because of it flexing so much and the temperature changes because it wasn't installed properly.
Right.
The gaps behind the cabinets themselves, because
could,
the wall being a brand new drywall wall should have been leveled.
So I can
it wasn't.
I can push my fingers here, but then all of a sudden there is no, it disappears here, which means the wall is cracked.
You got all this trim, again, not caulked, not cut in properly, not finished properly.
They actually even painted on top of my furniture a little bit. Thank you guys.
So this corner again, it's not in line with anything. You can see how rough it's actually done. So this floor wasn't installed and never leveled because you can hear it moving. I think issues with your floor because this is a locking floor system.
Okay.
That when it dips like that and it moves like that, that's going to create pressure. Eventually it's going to break.
Okay.
And when that breaks, then you're going to have a tripping hazard. Where the finishing starts and stops at humps. And all the corners, wherever tape lines were, coming down all your edges are rough. They weren't cut in properly.
Actually, I can see the line between the drywall, right?
Because they're tape lines where they patched screws in. And then they never finished it properly, and then they painted over it. Again, you got another screw popping, you got paint runs.
Yeah, here we go.
Paint run.
And actually, see this area, like I got the texture here, and then all of a sudden...
Because that's a patch that they did at some point. By fixes, it's stuff like that. That's because that was never sanded out 100%. But that's a touch-up. After you prime, you see stuff like that.
Okay.
And that should be filled.
Okay.
This window is cracked. All the caulking's cracked because again, it wasn't installed properly, and it's flexing. So all the painting, all the finishing, it continues.
Setting flat, right?
Yep.
This is the top, and where's our bubble? Yeah. Windows?
With the windows not being installed correctly, you can have them leak over time. I mean, it really depends. Obviously, like I said, without pulling the window to actually check how it was installed, it's hard to say, but they should not be flexing like that. And I would highly doubt that those windows are that expensive.
Yeah, look at the sunset. Can I film the sunset? I have weak spot for the sunsets.
Yeah.
So this is a brand new wall that they actually framed. This is how much it's off. This is a brand new framing. You know what I'm trying to say?
It'll leave a hump in the wall.
Yeah, so it has to be sanded way back, right?
Correct. You can see how these lines differ from one side to the other. Not done correctly, just caulked. Again, you can see that there's little bellies in here because they didn't screw it off correctly. All the painting cutting lines are really rough, and that's why you see the transitions going down.
So this is finished room, ladies and gentlemen. Finished room. Can you explain the nature of this?
This comes from...
I call it the hairy area, or the area where the painter shaved.
So this comes from either a lot of dust going around when they started to paint it, or material possibly in the paint, or they caulked it and ran over the caulk, didn't actually wipe the caulk like they were supposed to, and then try to deal with it after the fact. If you look up here, you can see that this isn't painted. You can see your tape lines and where they put corners on. You can see the digs that never got fixed. This whole corner is just really rough. You can see both sides of it, how it goes up, and it's not level, it's not squared. This trim isn't even caulked.
Yeah, and this, how about
Drips.
this area? Yeah, drips, everything.
The doors are destroyed.
So this is a skylight, right?
So the finishing, you can see that there's the reveal on it, and then all of a sudden real good.
It's a freestyle reveal, that's how it's called. As a professional contractor, how would you rate this job objectively on a scale from 0 to 10?
I'd say it's probably about a 2.
Okay.
So as far as the heading goes, it should have an actual business heading to where it has the company name, the owner's name, an address, a phone number, an email. Obviously, it's missing quite a few of those things.
Yeah.
When it comes down to their address that's on this, the name is incorrect.
Yep.
The address is incorrect. So it should have a time of completion, when it's actually going to be completed.
It's not listed here.
Okay. It should have permits, what permits he's going to pull.
Okay.
How long they're good for, which ones he's responsible for, which ones you might be responsible for. Any insurance information which isn't listed, he has to make that known to you. Part of pulling a permit is having insurance, business insurance, to legally be able to do so. Changes the scope of work. If there's any kind of change order that has to come down, having it signed by both parties agreeing to that change. Any kind of unforeseen conditions or non-visible damage or protection of premises.
No, is this supposed to be signed by customer? Accepted by? Like
Correct.
customer? Well, this is not our signature. I'm just letting you know.
Whose signature is it?
Pretty bad, isn't it? So the price to repair all these minor issues is around $7,200. And once again, according to Arnold's contracting, our bedrooms are 99% complete, and these are just a few touch-ups that are left behind. And I was off around $600 to finish them myself. So the reason we're sharing all our experience with the community is so other people know what actually happened. They will know what kind of job this contractor delivers, so they can make educated choice and keep their houses safe. Thank you for watching. You guys have a good night.